What up, everyone? Welcome to part two of our special NBA Draft podcast. I'm Shaheen Koigani. I'm here with Anoop Dillon,
What's up, guys?
Robneet Singh,
Hey,
and Mr. NBA himself, Zaid Hadid. What's up, guys?
Ginobili!
Hey, man, it's been pretty hot recently, huh?
Yeah, dude, heat's killing me. I can't take it anymore.
I thought you were talking about my date I had last night.
What? Wait, Dave, don't lie to our viewers, our listeners, man. Come on.
It's not a lie.
You had a day with your right hand.
Damn, it's a blast. Putting them on blast.
Oh, oh, sorry, Zaid. I can't do you like that. My bad.
Hey, it's all good, man.
So how'd it go with her?
You're assuming to her.
That's between me, her, and the shots of vodka we had last night.
Oh.
Yeah, I do. Are you sure it's a her?
We're assuming a lot of things here.
I'll give you guys. I'll give you guys later.
Proof of what? The vodka? You could have just spilled it out.
No, I'm talking about the girl. I'll get you guys pics of the girl. Don't worry.
Oh my gosh! Wow, this is okay.
Okay, well, I guess we could have the picture we'll put a link to it on the podcast info page.
Well, no, we can't do that. We can't. We can't.
We want something special for all our dedicated.
We can get in trouble for that. We can get in trouble.
Yeah. Okay. All right. It'll be between us then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so I woke up this morning, right, and the first thing I look on Twitter. Twitter was blowing up because Chris Broussard reported that LeBron James will be opting out of his contract with the early termination option. So
That was the worst Chris Broussard impression I've ever heard.
What? No, that's like a 7 out of 10 at least.
6 at best.
6. Okay, you know what? I'll take 6. That's fine. All right. Anyways, I'll work on it, guys. Don't worry. Everyone's losing their minds about this. I mean, isn't it pretty likely that he could just be opting out of his contract, take less money with the Heat? That's pretty likely, right?
Take less money or more money, right?
More money with the Heat? No, he would be taking less money. I think he was due 20.
Yeah, if he opted out, then he's gonna take less money. He was gonna get the maximum amount of money if he opted in. So I think the only reason he would opt out is because of to take less money, which is most likely, I think. But the only question is then why didn't Wade and Bosch opt out also?
That's true. That's true, but I mean the only options are like you guys said, Miami for a little bit lower price. But that is true. Why Wade and Bosch haven't spoken yet. But I mean the other options are the Clips, Chicago. I've been hearing, and a little team called the Houston Rockets.
I think like he's going to talk with Wade and Bosch soon, and I think they'll make a decision. I think LeBron was taking a vacation after the finals, and he told his agent to tell Broussard what's up, and I think they might all take less money to bring in someone else, or maybe bring in more role players or something. Or I mean, he might be. I mean, I think here's a question I have. Like, if you're LeBron, right? You probably have a list of teams that you'd like to talk to, and the teams that you think that could be contenders, serious contenders, if you were to join them. But you know that you're going to get calls from every team. So do you actually meet with every team and hear what they have to say?
So I think last year, the last time LeBron was a free agent, I think every single team contacted him, but he only chose to meet with 6. I want to say I can't remember on the top of my head, but I think it was the Clippers, New York, Chicago, Miami, Cleveland, and I'm missing one team, or maybe it was 5, but he's only going to consider a handful of teams. I think he's only going to consider 3, maybe. I think, or 4. People want to say Cleveland. I don't see that. I don't think there's anything really, really interesting in Cleveland, even though they have the #1 pick.
It's a national pipe dream at this point. People want him to go to Cleveland. I just don't see it happening. I mean, do you guys remember that letter that Dan Gilbert wrote when he left?
Yeah, he basically said that he was going to get a ring before LeBron did, and that obviously failed.
I mean, it was just such a petty letter from an owner. I think that's like that among other things is just one of the reasons why he's just not going to go back there. I think people just need to stop dreaming.
But the story would be so good, him coming back to the place he started.
I know it's got the national narrative. You know what I'm saying? But
Cleveland would love to have him back. I mean, they're not going to say no to having a chance to win another championship.
No, Cleveland would love it, but would LeBron even consider them? I think that he would rather consider Houston. He would rather consider Chicago. He would rather be in Miami with his friend Wade.
Why wouldn't he consider Cleveland? They got Kyrie Irving. They got the #1 pick. They got Deion Waiters, Varejao, Thompson. They got Luol Deng.
Varejao.
Varejo.
They've also got a bad history of mismanaging their players. But what do you guys think the chances are that Cleveland or that LeBron signs with another team other than the Miami Heat? You think there's any possibility out there?
Yeah, of course. I think when you opt out of your contract, and he's gonna July 1st, he'll be able to talk to teams. So we're gonna have to obviously wait and see, which is why Twitter was just so unbearable this morning because I couldn't. I mean, everyone had to like calm down and realize that in a week, then things will start rolling. But I mean, I think he'll be able to talk to teams, and I think some teams will be able to make really good offers. I think the Clippers and Chicago, the LA Clippers and Chicago have really good things to offer him. You know what I'm saying? Like, look at those teams right now and how they're constructed. If you add LeBron, I mean, you got contenders.
God, I hope not. We don't need another superstar in the West.
Oh yeah, I mean the West is already stacked as it is, and LeBron at least gave a contender in Miami when he was in the East. But I think Chicago is a good fit. I also think Houston is a good fit also.
No.
No? Why not?
Harden doesn't play defense, man.
But LeBron does, and I think he would take some of the offensive responsibility off Harden, which is why I think Harden struggles on defense sometimes because
Harden is also ball dominant though. He needs the ball in his hands. Like and I don't think that Harden wanted to go to Houston to play shotgun. I think that's his team, and I think he wants it to stay his team.
I hear you, and I think that's a good point. But I mean, if we're talking about two guards who can play next to LeBron, I think Harden's the closest guy next to Dwayne Wade. I mean, they have a really similar skill set. They can both get to the hole. Harden's a better shooter. He could space the floor better, and they're both very willing passers. So I could see the fit there, to be honest.
I'm not sure Harden wants to ride shotgun on his team. I mean,
I think that brings me to my next question, which is I don't know if any team would turn down LeBron, even if if they want to be the alpha male. I don't think James Harden would decline LeBron James if LeBron wanted to come. I think every player wants to win a championship.
You'd be surprised at egos, man.
Maybe.
LeBron will make any team a contender. Whatever team he goes to, it will be a contender.
Wait, what? Wait, like finals contender or playoff contender?
Like a top 5 team in the league contender.
Oh, if he went on the Kings right now, we'd be top 5?
Yes.
I mean,
I'm not sure about that. But
if he went on the Bucks right now or the Sixers, he'd maybe top 5?
Maybe not the Sixers. I mean, I'm saying 90%. I'll say I'll rephrase it to 90%. I'll say 25.
I think 90% is fair.
25 out of the 30 teams, he would make them a contender.
Probably, yeah. Probably.
I could see that.
But I think there are only like 5 teams that could make really good offers to him, and I think that's exactly what they should. I don't know if Houston is going to be one of those teams, honestly. I think Kevin Love is a really good fit for them, and not Carmelo or LeBron, because Kevin Love doesn't need the ball in his hands. So I think Kevin Love would be a good fit. I don't know about Melo. I think Melo's best fit is Chicago, and I think LeBron's best fit is Chicago, because I think the East is still so weak, right? You want to have the easiest path to the finals. Who's going to get in the way of that Bulls team with LeBron? Nobody.
Yeah, I mean that would be an amazing team. Just talking about LeBron's fit on Houston, I already don't remember who said it, but someone said that um, would any team care even if they were like offending their superstar player? I think any team would take the chance to get LeBron. I think that's especially true for Daryl Morey. He's the kind of player like look at the situation with Omar Ashe. They're just, you know, doesn't seem like there was much consideration for what the player wanted there. And I think he has a history of that. The situation was really similar with Kyle Lowry and Goran Dragic a couple seasons ago. So if there's a GM out there who's willing to upset a great player, I think that's Daryl Morey.
That doesn't bode well for. I mean, he gave him a max contract. I mean, like in those other cases, they're talking about role players, but I don't know if he could just piss off Harden and be okay with it. You need Harden to go to the ship with LeBron, so you're gonna have to ask Harden. Okay, you're not gonna handle the ball on most possessions anymore. Is he gonna be able to take that? I don't know. I still think Houston will call and offer something for LeBron's services. They'd be stupid not to. Like every team should, right? But I don't know if that's a good fit for him. Anyways, let's go to the draft. I think we left off at number 8. Our team, woo, Sacramento. We,
All
we,
right,
we,
so
drafted, we drafted a stud last year. You know.
yeah, we've had a streak of Rookie of the Year candidates. So
Hey, we actually did have a rookie of the year in Tyreek Evans, and then another rookie of the year contender in DeMarcus Cousins. And I think if Blake Griffin didn't get hurt the year that he did, then he would have Cousins would have won rookie of the year instead of Blake Griffin because Blake's rookie year got postponed for 1 year. So I think the Kings are actually decent at drafting. They found Isaiah Thomas, but now they have a whole new management or different management, and they didn't have a good start in drafting McLemore. But I think it's too soon to say that he was a bust. But regardless, I think the Kings are in an interesting position. I think the eighth pick is where the second tier starts, or the third tier starts, in my opinion. So I think Gordon is likely to still be there, and if he's there, I could see the Kings picking him. If Smart falls down there, I think the Kings should pick him up, and I think they will. But if Randall falls, I'm not sure the Kings will do it. I think there's a lot of trade talks right now with the Kings and this pick.
Yeah, the Kings are aggressively shopping the pick, looking to either move up or down, taking offers from everywhere, from every team. We've heard them take offers for Taj Gibson maybe, and a pick or two for the Bulls. We've heard them take offers for Aaron Aflalo. So I mean, frankly, like as a Sacramento Kings fan, I think you guys could agree with me. We don't want to see our team take veteran players unless they're the right veteran players. Of course, there are exceptions, but I would much rather see baby steps, build through the draft. Let's see if someone could fall to us at 8. And in terms of prospects that could fall, Marcus Smart could fall to us, and I'd be very happy with him. We talked about him in the other podcast, so he's got great defensive upside. And then Aaron Gordon, I'm not really sold on him. If one of you guys could tell me about what you guys think about Aaron Gordon, I don't know. He seems to me like his position. He's a kind of a tweener, 3-4. He could play to 3. He needs to improve his shooting, but I think he provides a lot of athletic upside. What do you guys think? He's a good shot blocker too. I like that.
Right. I mean, he's a pretty athletic power forward. He has a decent 7-foot wingspan. But I mean, as far as his defense, he's not as good a defender, I think, as Noah. But if he's
wait, Joakim Noah?
Noah Vonleh.
Oh,
I have to disagree strongly there. I think Aaron Gordon's a way better defender. He's not as tall and he doesn't have as good a wingspan as Vonleh, but he shut down a lot of players.
Yeah.
And he was a huge. Arizona was one of the best defensive teams in the country. I think they were the number 1, and he was a big reason why.
when I have seen his games, to me his defense sticks out in terms of his versatility too. I've seen him guard. I've seen him down on the block guarding centers. So
Yeah,
he has.
he's a good one-on-one defender, but he's not the blocker that the Kings need, not the rim protector.
I think I agree with you there. I think if the Kings had a chance to between Vonleh and Gordon, I think they're going with Vonleh just because he's a better fit and he has a better jump shot, which is something Aaron Gordon doesn't have, and Aaron Gordon has struggled like mightily on the free throw line. It's not as bad as Andre Drummond, I'll tell you that much, but it's pretty horrendous.
Yeah, I mean, for the Kings to pick some, prospect here, Vivek and the management want to get good now. They want to get ready for the arena coming up, and they just want to hype up the crowd. We've been losing for several, 8-9 years now, and I think they want to win now. Like Shahina mentioned, a couple trades with a follow that they've been mentioning that follow on the 12th pick for the 8th pick. I mean, I don't mind that. But we can get a good player at the 12th pick, like Payton or something. And then with the other trade rumor with the Chicago, they're offering like two of they have the 16th, 19th Gibson and Snell. We'd probably be getting two of those players or picks. And yeah, I don't if it's the right deal, I don't mind the Kings taking it. I think we need some role players along with Cousins, Gay, and if we keep Isaiah, so. I think trading down is not too bad of an option.
I think. I mean, going back to Gordon. I think I wouldn't mind him if we take him, but I have a feeling that the teams ahead of us really like him, and he's going to go. He's going to go before that. I think best case scenario for us is if Noah Vonleh falls to us because he's just such a great fit. I mean, you're talking about a guy who's 6'10" with great reach span. He's not like I don't think he projects as an elite rim protector, but he projects as a rim protector. And in the sense that I was talking about Gordon blocking shots, he can block shots, but he's not a rim protector. Obviously, he just can block shots with his great defense and his length. But Noah Vonleh, it can be a rim protector alongside Cousins because we know Cousins has inadequacies there, but I think and his range extends to the 3-point line. So and he's young, so I think Noah Vonleh would be best case scenario at number 8, which is honestly a terrible spot. We were in the lottery at 7 and we moved back. Has there ever been a year where we had some good luck? When was the last time? Whatever. All right, let's not get too depressing with Kings talk. Let's move on to the next one.
The Bobcats at number 9?
The Hornets.
Oh yeah, sorry, the Hornets now. They have a whole new logo and color scheme, I like it. I like the change, but I don't know if I like how Jordan drafts. I don't think he's had a very good history, and we all know that.
Is it him or is it his GM or whoever, his yes man, I guess?
I think he's been making the call for a long time. I know they just hired a new GM last year. I think I'm blanking on the name, but I think the Bobcats are in an interesting position. They kind of have their point guard position filled and their center position filled with Kemba and Al Jefferson. I'm kind of thinking they're going to go with McDermott maybe. I thought Dario Saric would be a good fit there. I don't know how much they like MKG, but they could go with a guy like Gary Harris or Rodney Hood too. Right now, I see them going with Rodney Hood because I don't know if they're going to keep Gerald Henderson, and MKG to me is more of a 2, and Rodney Hood would be a good fit at the 3.
Yeah, I agree. I think they'll go for a shooting guard. I think they can definitely use some spacing. I like Gary Harris for them. I think they're a defensive team, and he's a good defensive player, and he can still spread the floor, make some room for Al Jefferson on the block. So I think he fits in really well.
Yeah, I kind of agree. They need a shooting guard. I think they might be looking at Nick Stauskas, just because I think he's a solid 6'6" shooting guard. He can spread the floor for Kemba and Jefferson. They can pitch out to him. I just think that they need some shooting there. They definitely need some shooting. So I mean, MKG can't shoot. Gerald Henderson's not that great. Kemba's, he's okay, he's getting better, but I think they need a perimeter shooter to move forward.
I agree. I agree with all you guys. I think shooting is a big need on this team. So I think with Josh McRoberts actually opting out of his contract recently and becoming an unrestricted free agent, they have a hole to fill at power forward. I think Doug McDermott could be a good pick there. I don't see him as a point power forward per se, but I think he's got that. He's a tweener, obviously, but he could score at will. He scored at will at college, and he's probably the best shooter in the draft. So she could shoot from anywhere on the floor. Other needs, they probably could use a backup point guard after Kemba. And I mean, if they want to go with other shooters, yeah, I mean, as you guys mentioned, Gary Harris, Nick Stauskas, James Young. These are all guys. Elfrid Payton as a backup to Kemba Walker, give him some depth there. But honestly, I think with Josh McRoberts opting out and becoming unrestricted free agent, I think they could go McDermott for sure. I think that's a strong possibility.
Yeah, that's a good point actually. I think their weakest position is probably power forward. I think they wanted Cody Zeller to like fill that role, but he's been a disappointment. I think Dario Saric is a good fit because he's a good passer. He's a good shooter when he's set up and not trying to force things. And I think Doug McDermott's also good. To me, he's probably a better power forward than a small forward. I don't think he's going to be a very good small forward unless he's just a spot up shooter. But
No,
I think
I don't think he's just a spot up shooter. He's shown the ability to be a playmaker for Creighton, and he's been working on his lateral quickness. So I mean, issues with people have issues with his defense and how it projects to the NBA, but he's been working on his quickness a lot this offseason, and he seems like a committed kid. He's a coach's son. I think he could be a very good player. I mean, all the NBA comps that he gets are all to other white players.
no. I mean, my point was I don't think he's going to. I think if he's a small forward, he's going to be just a spot up shooter. But if he's a power forward, he could be a lot more. He has a back to the basket game, and he kind of has that Dirk fadeaway shot that's hard to do. He has decent move. He has a decent mid-range game, which would fit well next to Al Jefferson, who could just be in the post. But I don't know defensively how good they would be. But on that team, defense isn't the issue right now.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Talking about Dario Saric real quick, I think Ramneet brought him up. I think he's an interesting fit, but I mean, they just made the playoffs, and I don't know if they're willing to wait 2 years on a draft pick right now. I think they want to get a player who can contribute right away.
Jordan is impatient, man.
Yeah, he is. He's got a history of that. Who was the other guy? Doug McDermott. That guy. I like him. I'm not sure how I feel about him next to Al Jefferson. I mean, he could definitely space the floor for Al Jefferson, and Al Jefferson has made some leaps this last season on defense, but I think you're tempting fate there with two historically not great defenders next to
they were one of the best defensive teams in the league. So
that's true, but I think a lot of that had to do with the system, and I mean, granted, I don't think they had a great defender at the 4 last season either, but
McRoberts, yeah, I don't think he was a plus defender. I might be wrong about that, but I mean, when you're getting McDermott, I mean, if McRoberts opted out, then I think there's a need there, and yeah, I think McDermott could fill that nicely. And I mean, if you decide to go small, you could leave him on the floor. He gives you some versatility, and I like the fact that he could create for other players too, because that seemed like a problem for them last season. They were a very good defensive team. They were very stout, but I mean, they needed some creativity and other players helping them out, other than Kemba or Al Jefferson. So above all, they need shooting, and that he fills that in spades. What about Philly, guys? At number 10, they're picking at 3. They could pick someone at 10. Now, I think I had Jabari Parker going to them. I'm not sure actually. With him or Wiggins? Oh no, I had Embiid. I had Embiid falling to 3. This
Wow.
team doesn't need to win now. In fact, I feel like that's their kind of their mentality is they've tanked so shamelessly last year that they're really not in any rush. They just want to keep getting as many young assets as possible. They're probably going to trade Thaddeus Young too to get more assets. So I really do think Dario Saric is a possibility. Although if he's staying for 2 years, I don't know. I feel like Dario will drop in this draft. So, but it is a possibility at 10 for the Sixers, who don't really feel a need to get much better really soon. What do you guys think?
I think Dario is falling because of what his agent said and that he wants to play in Europe for a little bit longer. But
Right, right.
yeah, but I mean, I think if Philly wants, I don't, yeah, I think you're right. The Philly doesn't really care about winning now, but I would still go with the best player available. And in my mock draft, that's Gary Harris, and I think he's a safe pick. They could use some shooters. MCW is not a really good shooter, and I think he's just a safe pick, and he's a very good defender. And when you have him and the possibility of Noel and Embiid, who I have picking at 3, and with MCW, that could be a really, really good defensive team in the long run.
Yeah, I think, like Shane said, though, they're really looking for long-term potential. They're not really concerned about rookie years or getting better this season. So I think the guy with the best potential in my mock draft that's left is Nick Stauskas. It's either
I
him
agree.
or Doug McDermott in my book, but I think Nick Stauskas, he's shown a lot of potential. He can do a lot of things on the floor, and I think he'd be a good backcourt partner next to Michael Carter-Williams, who can't space the floor.
Yeah, like Anoop said, I think they're just gonna get whichever if they want a player now, Nick or McDermott, whoever Charlotte doesn't take. But they could go the Darius Saric way. I mean, they take Darius Saric, they'll suck this year again, get them a top 2, 3 pick, and they can have like what 4 number 1 picks. They'll have Embiid or whoever they pick, Wiggins, Embiid, and then they'll have Noel, and then they'll have Saric, and then whoever they pick next year. So, I mean, they can
That's
have
a
a
pretty good haul.
it's not a bad idea for Philly to do. I mean, they're not going to do anything this year, even if they pick a Stauskas or a McDermott. So might as well just go Saric and be a pretty scary team in 4 or 5 years.
Man, it's shameless tanking. I don't really like it, but I mean, it's gonna pay off well for them.
That's what you got to do in the NBA, man.
It is, and it worked for OKC, and I think Philly is gonna show that it's working for them too. But so I know Anoop, you had Nick Stauskas, and we had a debate earlier about who's better between Nick Stauskas and Gary Harris. I think Gary Harris is a better player, and I think Philly should just go with the best player available. Then, if you look at when Michigan played Michigan State, Gary Harris guarded Nick Stauskas the entire game, and Nick Stauskas could not guard Gary Harris at all. So I think, and also Gary Harris kind of shut him down, and I think he's just a better two-way player than Nick Stauskas.
Just to clear the air real quick, I actually agree that Gary Harris, in my mind, is a better player. I just had him going 1 pick earlier, so that's why I picked.
Okay, my bad.
Yeah.
I think Stauskas gives you more value as a better shooter. I mean, I think him and McDermott are the 2 best pure shooters in the draft. He's got a really quick release. He's got incredible range, and he shoots really well from the free throw line. I mean, he gives you great value as a shooter. But I mean, he's also got plus athleticism. He had a 38-inch vertical at a workout. That's really good. He's versatile. He could play some point. So I mean, for I think like you're just trying to get good players that could maybe versatile players because they do have a lot of wings. They could also get a forward, but at this point in the draft, I don't really see anyone for them But I had Dario Saric for them before, but because of that recent news, I think Stauskas is a good fit for them. Honestly, about Gary Harris, like I have him going a couple picks later, so I don't think that. I think they could swap. I mean, it's totally possible. I think they're both good players. Gary Harris to me seems like more of a slasher than Nick Stauskas, and Stauskas is a pure shooter. So in that regard, I mean, they both give you different things. I mean, Gary Harris, he has a solid mid-range game. He's a pretty good ball handler. He's got when I watch his tape, he seems to have like always in attack mode. So he can get to the line a lot. That's what I really like about Gary Harris is he gets to the line a lot. But I don't like his shooting is pretty streaky. So I don't think it's even close to compare him to Nick Scousis when it comes to shooting. But he does give you other qualities.
I agree. I think that Nick Stauskas is definitely the pure shooter. I think he'll project to be a much better shooter, at least early on. I think Gary Harris has a good stroke. I think he'll struggle early on, though. Um, Moving on to the Nuggets, I think, in my mind, this is the weirdest lottery team to pick for. I don't know what they're doing. I mean, they made the playoffs.
Wild card.
Yeah, they made the playoffs 2 seasons ago. I think this year they were kind of hoping to just relock and load and uh, reconfigure their lineup a little bit and get a new coach and hopefully make it again. But clearly that didn't work. I think that now they're going to go into a full rebuild, which is why I have them picking Dario Saric. I think at this point in the draft, he's got the highest potential, the highest payoff, and I think by now they know they're not going to be. This isn't a quick fix. They're not going to be good in 2 years. So
Gallinari's not going to be happy.
That's true, but Gallinari, we haven't seen him for 2 years. You know what I mean?
That's true. That is true.
I mean, he may never play another game in the NBA. So who knows?
I think the Nuggets above all need a creative player. I think they need someone who could create for them other than Ty Lawson.
A good passer.
And Randy Foy, yeah, a playmaker. Or they could stand to get better defensively. I mean, they could go any number of directions here. So, I don't know.
I think you're right. They do need playmaking, but they're set at the guards position. They like Evan Fournier. They have Nate Robinson, and the Gallinari is a decent player too. And I think they're fine at the guard position. I don't think they like Fareed that much. Or I should say Brian Shaw doesn't really like Fareed because he's not a traditional four. And I'm not sure if Saric is either, but I think he's a better fit for them. And JaVale McGee or could kind of hide Saric's defensive. And well, I would say Saric is actually decent on defense. He hustles more than the others, but he's just not. He doesn't have a high ceiling.
He's pretty big for. I mean, he's 6'10". He's got good size for the position.
Yeah, and he hustles a lot too. I think he's a decent defender, but he doesn't have a very high potential defensively, just because he doesn't have a large wingspan. And he's not mad athletic either.
Yeah, so I got for the Nuggets Gary Harris. Like you guys said, he has a good jump shot. He plays excellent defense. The thing I don't like about him though, he's kind of short for a shooting guard. He's like 6'4". That's why I kind of like Nick Stauskas a little better. He's true shooting guard. But I think the Nuggets. Whichever one gets picked second out of Stauskas or Harris, they'll pick them. But I think Harris will be the later pick. That's why I think they'll get him. But I think they need a defensive guy next to Ty Lawson at the 2. They got Wilson Chandler at the 3, Fareed at the 4, and at the 5 they got McGee. So that's not too bad of a lineup to go forward.
I'm gonna get a little irrational here. But before that, I do agree with Anup. I think Denver is gonna pick Dario Saric, and he's going to be a Hall of Famer. So.
Whoa! Hall of Famer?
Yes, I think he's that good. I think the time away could actually do well for him. This guy, to me, dude, like when you watch him play, you see just a beast. I think he wrestles Vikings in his spare time. I mean, like not only that, but on the court, basketball IQ in spades. All right, like you said, he plays hard defensively. He's played at a high level overseas. He's got 3-point range. He could pass the ball so well for his size. He's outstanding ball handler for his size too. I mean, like he could post up. He could do everything. He could lead the break. I've seen him so many times snag a rebound, go coast to coast, and create for his teammates on the wings. I mean, he moves well without the ball. He's effective in transition. He's great, got great vision as a passer. I mean, okay, I guess a weakness is he's not explosive, or maybe he's not quick enough for NBA small forwards, or maybe not strong enough for NBA power forwards. But I mean, that could all get better. But I think this guy, I mean, as I was watching the NBA Finals, I saw Boris Diaw. This guy is a more athletic Boris Diaw without the boobs, and I think he's going to be a surefire Hall of Famer. I mean, actually, no, surefire Hall of Famer if he falls all the way to the Spurs. But
What?
if
I
he
don't know, man. I don't
Hold
know.
up.
I don't know if I
No,
want Boris Diaw without the boobs. That might be my favorite part of him.
I've heard Tito Turkoglu again. We have to all these comparisons always compare foreign players with foreign players. But I mean, yeah, I give. Actually, I was going to give him the Boris Diaw comp, and he is a foreign player. But yeah, I see Boris Diaw in him, but speed, like more athletic, and I think he's a great player, dude. I think he's a great player. I wouldn't mind if the Kings get him.
Okay, wait. That brings up the question, and then after this, I think we should move on. But if you have Darius Saric as a future Hall of Famer, then why don't you have him higher on your board?
This is my irrational pick of the draft. Okay, this is my irrational pick. All right, if I wouldn't bet on it, but there's something in my gut that's telling me, okay, this guy's going to end up being a Hall of Famer, and I'm going to end up being right about him. This is my irrational. Let me have my
Okay.
irrational pick. Okay.
Okay, fair enough. I mean,
I'm
if
gonna
if
have
he
my,
is a Hall of Famer, you guys heard it first on Kill the Clock.
There you go. All right. There you go.
But
Let's go Magic now.
yeah, let's do the Magic.
Sorry, go ahead.
I think the Magic they already have the fourth pick, and I think they're gonna pick Dante Exum, so that settles their guard position, and with Oladipo at the two. So then I think they really like Vucevic at the center position. They like Tobias Harris. So then they're probably, I think they might want to look at Doug McDermott if he's still there and try to see if he works at the small forward position. Otherwise, they could kind of reach for Kyle Anderson or see if Rodney Hood is available. I think Rodney Hood would be a great fit for them. But he's kind of similar to Rashard Lewis, and they had Rashard Lewis, and they liked him back in the day. I know it's a different management and all, but I think shooting is what that team needs. Rodney Hood's a really good shooter, not a very good defender, but he would be the best fit, in my opinion.
Yeah, so this is where I have Darius Saric going, and you guys already talked about him, but I think if he goes to Turkey for 2 years, they have I have him drafting Exum as well, so they'll kind of have this like little foreign taste to them. You never know, they might turn into the San Antonio Spurs in a couple of years.
Okay. I think I had Exum going to the Magic at 4, and if that does happen, then that kind of solves their point guard issue. Although I'm not even sure Exum's a point guard, but the thing is, if they do decide to take Von Leh, they could pick Elfrid Payton at 12, and that would be a great draft for them. They could also look at Tyler Ennis, Zach LaVine, Shabazz Napier. His stock has gone up. I mean, as all guys that could take over the point guard role after Jameer leaves. They could go with Saric, although I don't know. I feel like Orlando's been so bad for so long. I feel like they actually it would fill the quota, like Zaid said, of international prospects. But I like, if they go Von Leh at 4, I like Elfrid Payton at 12, and I really like Elfrid Payton. I know you guys also do. What you guys want to tell me about him?
Oh man, you go.
From what I've seen, he reminds me a lot of Ricky Rubio. He's a great ball handler. He doesn't have a good shot, and the really scary thing to me is that he's not a great finisher, despite how great he is at getting into the paint. So I think that's
whoa, really?
Yeah. So I mean, that's something I think he'll struggle with. I mean, if he's struggling with it at the college level, then I think he'll definitely struggle at the NBA level. But he's still got a lot of potential. He's really young. Even though he's played 3 years in college, I think he's still only a week or two older than Embiid. So he's really young. For the Magic at this pick, I had them taking Smart, actually. I think I'm the only one. So
Wow,
I
he
mean,
fell that far.
I'm sorry, what?
He fell that far for you?
No,
Oh no,
no, he
no, no.
said
I
he had
have
Smart
him
at
in.
4.
Yeah,
Oh, at
yeah,
4. I see. I see.
yeah. So, um, I mean, it's kind of the same situation. It's just who do you prefer, Smart or Exum? I think Smart is the safer pick. I think Exum probably does have the higher potential though. Um, that being said, I had them taking Doug McDermott. They've got Vucevic at the 5. They've got Oladipo at the, I'm gonna say 2, and
Right.
Smart at the 1. I think that McDermott, wherever he slots in 3 or 4, he can fill a hole, and Tobias Harris can kind of, I don't know, take the other. That's two tweeners. I don't know how that works out, but I mean, I think at this point, he's the best player on the board.
Yeah. So for back on Alfred Payton, just to throw some quick stuff out about him. Yeah, I mean he can play defense. He's not a great shooter, but he's kind of like this tough leader. But like
Uh-oh.
I've been listening, the last week or two on his workouts that he's just been owning everyone in the workouts, and that's why he's climbing up the charts, which kind of reminds me of a little player a couple years ago, Damian Lillard, who did the same thing, small school.
Florida
Um,
State. Yep.
so I don't know, like this guy could be something big, just like Damian Lillard did a couple years ago. But I mean, this guy can't shoot. He shot 26% from the 3-point line, and he shot 60% from the free throw line. So he has to improve in that to be a solid NBA player. But I mean, he's a good playmaker, and it'll be interesting to see how he goes in the NBA.
I think he's one of my favorite players in this draft. He's got excellent size and length for the position, and that makes him he's a very good defender. He picks up a lot of steals. He's an unselfish player. He could dish the ball. He's got pretty good vision for a point guard, and I mean one of the best things about him he's his penetration. He's one of the best in the draft at getting to the basket, along with Exum in my opinion. He's a tough player. He's a leader, and like Zayd said, he's been owning every workout. Which I mean, if you're if you're owning every single workout, like I've been hearing, because it's fascinating too. I'm on Twitter, and it feels like they're talking about like a surefire Hall of Famer, but they're talking about this kid named Alfred Payton who I didn't even know about a month ago. But this guy has just been doing so well in workouts that it it does remind me of a Damian Lillard situation. His weaknesses, I mean, yeah, he needs to improve his jump shot greatly. And yeah, he needs more strength to finish at the rim. But from what I've seen, he has a great creativity at the rim. He's got a number of moves that allow him to create separation in the paint and get his shot off. But he does need to add a lot more strength. And again, he's 20 years old. He's very young. You could mold this player into how you want. But I might like him more than Marcus Smart. I'm not sure. Um, but I would be totally fine with taking him at the Kings pick. I wouldn't even consider it a reach, honestly, at this point, with how well he's been doing in his workouts.
I mean, yeah, I think hearing all the reports coming out, it's hard not to love everything you're hearing. But just uh, just to throw some water on the fire. Um,
No,
these one-on-one workouts are kind of where you'd expect him to exceed. I mean, he's a
one on
great.
one. No, he's had team workouts too,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
like 5 on
But
5, and he dominates the entire workout. I mean, what does that tell you?
For sure, but a lot of these workouts aren't one point guard, one shooting guard, one small forward, one power forward, and one center.
Uh,
Um, and that's where I think he kind of shines when there's no shot blocking big to kind of step up and get in his way. I think he's a great defender. He's a great playmaker. He's got all right handles. He can show all of that off and get to the hole and finish in these workouts. Whereas I'm still skeptical of if he can do that. But having said that, his defense I love. His personality especially I love. He reminds me a lot of Kawhi Leonard. He's really quiet, but at the same time, he'll go the extra mile 100 times out of 100 tries. Um,
I've seen
I,
I've seen him pretty vocal actually, but I
really,
could I mean yeah, he seems like a pretty vocal kid, especially like when he I've seen him a couple times like yelling to his teammates and getting them hyped up, and like or when he makes a big defensive play or if there's a lot of momentum on his side, he'll channel that aggression. And it's good to see. he's an intense player. I don't know. Kawhi just seems way too quiet.
Kind of reminds me of a Rondo.
A lot.
Really, I don't.
I've been hearing that a lot. I'm not sure. I think people like the size and they compare him to Rondo. But Rondo's 6'1". I think they like the length.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I haven't heard those reports about him being a really active vocal guy, but maybe I'm wrong there.
I don't really think he's a leader per se, or he's not. If he's the number one leader on your team, then I don't think your team's gonna go very far. He's not that type of
Well,
leader.
we don't know anything about him. I mean,
Well,
he could
I call it
he could end up
really
being a very good leader. He's 20 years old. He could end up being a better leader.
no,
But if he's
I think he will be. I think he will be a better leader. But beyond his leadership, I find if I had to explain his shot mechanics in one word, it would be trash. Like I think he has the worst shooting mechanics of any point guard in this draft, and a lot of point guards have bad mechanics in this draft, including Smart and Exum. Also, like you guys, I don't know who mentioned this before, maybe a noob. He shies away from contact in the paint. Yeah, you could get in the paint, but does that mean anything if you're gonna shy away from contact and go for floaters?
Penetration is extremely important in the NBA. Even if you penetrate and suck into defense, he's still a good facilitator to kick it out to open shooters. So
Right.
I mean, obviously he needs to get stronger, and when he does get stronger, which he will if he gets in the NBA and if he cares, then he'll get stronger and he'll be able to be a threat in that way. But yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
at this point, these are weaknesses that he has. But if he has elite penetration skills, that's going to end up being a great thing for his game.
I think Ennis also has good penetration skills too, but no one's talking about that. But it's more obvious that he can't take contact, and I don't know if it's as clear with Alfred Payton. But I mean, I think we talked enough about Payton right now, but we'll move on to the T-Wolves. We're running kind of low on time. So the T-Wolves have the 13th pick this year, and they almost could have lost it if they had dropped to the 12th pick. I think it was. Oh, I'm sorry, if they dropped to the 14th pick. It was a top 13 pick, protected pick, and I think they're gonna go with the. I'm not really sure because they could. It all depends on Love. Again, if he chooses to leave, then they could blow the whole thing up and try to deal Martin.
I don't think he's going to get dealt before the draft, so I don't think they're going to have to worry about that. I think they're just going to pick players. I mean, there could be a draft day trade with maybe Boston or something like that. But I honestly, the reports that I've seen this entire week, they seem to indicate that Love is not going to be dealt before the draft, and if he does, he's going to be afterwards, and it's probably going to be with the Warriors. They're still in talks
Right.
with the Wolves, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's going to get dealt before the draft too, but I think they still have to keep it in the back of their minds because it would if they think that Love may leave, they might want to consider a power forward, and they could reach for Payne. I don't know if they will. I think they should just pick the best player available. I had in my mock draft I had them picking Nick Stauskas, even though they have Kmart there. Another good fit might be Kyle Anderson, but the thing is, Kyle Anderson needs the ball in his hands to be effective, and they already have the ball in Rubio's hands most of the time. So I'm a little bit confused. This was a difficult decision for me.
Right. Yeah. So I'm kind of on the same page as Rob Neat. They got good players all around. They got Chase Budinger at the small forward, Kevin Martin, Rubio, Love, DeYoung. How to say his name? Dieng.
I think it's
Gorgie
George.
Dang?
Yeah,
Gorgie?
Gordon.
Right. Him and they got Pekovic. So they got a good lineup. They're just not winning. So I would take a kind of a risk in this, and I pick Zach LaVine.
Ooh.
Yeah, I think he's very athletic. He's arguably the most athletic player in the draft class, and I think they should take a risk with him. He can kind of take the place of Kevin Martin if he gets traded, because I feel like he's gonna get traded, with Love as a deal maybe before the season starts. But I mean, he doesn't have a bad shot either. It's not the mechanics are all right. It's just he just needs to practice a little more. And the only bad thing also, he's kind of he's not that physical. He's pretty thin. That needs to be improved. So I mean, he has the potential to be a pretty dang good player. They have him compared to Russell Westbrook, which I don't really buy yet. But I think he's interesting.
UCLA
Yeah, that's the only thing that I see the
and
connection with.
athleticism.
Yeah.
I actually agree with Zayd. I have Zach LaVine falling to the T-Wolves as well. I don't know if the fit's there, but I think the Timberwolves were the last in fourth quarter points. So I think I mean, they had a good team. They fielded a great team, and through three quarters, they were really competitive, but somehow they always let it slip in the fourth, and I think that's what held them back. And I think a big part of that was Ricky Rubio. And a lot of times, Coach Adelman benched him in the fourth. So Zach LaVine is more of a potential pick to me, but if he, pans out, he can be a game changer. And I think if you have to bench Rubio, or if you have to let go of Kevin Martin, he's the kind of player that can take over a game in the fourth quarter or any time, really.
I don't really get that from Zach LaVine and being able to take over a game at this point in his life. To me, he seems like I have him going to Phoenix at 19, and I have them taking James Young at 14. Or no, not 19. But when else are they picking? Where's
13.
Phoenix picking?
Oh, Suns are
Oh,
picking.
18. I have them picking Zach LaVine at 18 and then James Young. To me, I don't know. I think you're kind of slapping Rubio in the face if you pick him. I have Gary Harris going to the Wolves. I think he's a great slasher for their team. I think he would benefit from playing next to Rubio. Plus, he works hard defensively too, and that's what they need. I think Stauskas, as Ravneet said, he had him going to the Wolves. I think that would be the best case scenario for them because they do need a good shooter to spread the floor, especially if Love is going to leave. I don't know. Zach LaVine, I really like him, but for the Wolves, I don't know if that makes sense. For like a team like Phoenix, though, who have a bunch of athletic wings who could shoot threes, I mean that he fits the bill perfectly there.
Yeah, I think Levine would be a decent fit in Phoenix, but they already like their backcourt of Bledsoe and Goran. So I don't know if
Well, no, this kid is like 19. He's gonna develop. You gotta give him 2 or 3 years. He is extremely raw. Like I said, like he's one of the biggest boomer bust picks in this draft. Like Anoop said, if you could develop him, if you could get him maybe 2 or 3 years in a program and buy into it, then you could have a game changer. And I've heard comparisons to Gerald Green, who's on the roster. So like his vert is insane. And then he's got a pretty good stroke on his jump, and good range on his jump shot. So, I mean,
no,
I th-
I like Levine a lot.
yeah,
I think he's a good player. I just don't know if that's the best fit for him. I had him falling a little bit lower to Boston at 17. At 14, I kind of liked Kyle Anderson, but I'm rethinking the pick just because, again, like I mentioned, Kyle Anderson is basically a point forward. He's kind of like a Lamar Odom, or he was basically the point guard for UCLA, and Phoenix already has plenty of ball handlers. So in that case, they could go with a guy like Jeremiah Grant. I think Phoenix I think Phoenix should pick Adrian Payne. I think he's a perfect fit, but I don't know if they need to pick him at 14. I think they could wait and pick him at 18, which is where I have him in my mock draft.
hmm
Yeah. I got for the Suns Rodney Hood, 6'8" small forward. The Suns, they got the Goran Dragic. I have a feeling of three times. You guys want to call him Goran Dragic?
Dragic, yeah,
Dragic.
Right, right. I like calling him Dragic, but
the Dragon.
uh, yeah. So they got Goran, they got Bledsoe, they got the Morris twins, and they got they just drafted Alex Len, but they need a small forward. I think they need a guy that can stretch the floor a little bit. Channing Frye just opted out of his contract, and I think Rodney Hood's a pretty good shooter. He's kind of strong, and the only thing is he's not a great rebounder. And he doesn't do many other things other than shoot pretty well, but he's a pretty good shooter.
I once again agree with Zaid. I have them drafting Rodney Hood. I think last season they started PJ Tucker, who's a really good defender. I think underrated defender or under-recognized defender. And he's a good hustle player, but I think that they could use, if they're going to make it to the playoffs, which I think they will next season, and make it anywhere far, I think they'll need a scoring threat at the 3. And I think Rodney Hood at least has the potential to be that. I think he can contribute there. He can spread the floor for Bledsoe and Dragic, who like to get into the paint, and dump it off to Alex Len, or not Alex Len, the Plumlee guy. What's his name?
Is it Mason?
Plumlee? Yeah, I think it is. So I think Rodney Hood is
Miles Plumlee.
Miles Plumlee.
Yeah.
There's too many Plumlees. All right.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, maybe it's Miles. Yeah. Well, I think I think if Rodney Hood did fall to them, I think they should pick him just because they're the Slash brothers, right? I mean, Goran and Bledsoe love slashing out and kicking out to their big guys who could shoot threes. Channing Frye was one of them, and if he's opting out, I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea to draft Adrian Payne there. I really like Payne. He has a 7-foot wingspan. He could spread the floor. He was really good on defensively, and he made part of that great defensive Michigan State team. I think you could stretch for him, and but if Rodney Hood's there, you could consider him too. But shooters is what that team needs and is what that team strives on.
I have them picking James Young, and like Robney just said, you got 2 guys that could penetrate really well and kick out to wings. They got Gerald Green. They could get James Young, who's a great catch and shoot player. He's got a really smooth stroke. He's one of the prettiest strokes in college basketball. And I mean, I think he could be a big weapon for a team. Just put him in the corner. Tell him to shoot 1,000 corner threes a day, and you have a great player there. So I don't think he's a great athlete. I think he's okay. I think he needs to improve his ball handling too, but he's got pretty ideal size for NBA shooting guard, and his 3-point shooting could be nice value for a team like that that has Goran and Bledsoe, as you guys said. So what do you guys think about Atlanta at 15?
Atlanta, I think they could use a small forward, so they could also use a playmaker. I think Kyle Anderson would be a really good fit there. If not, they could go with Jeremiah Grant. But I mean, they could reach for Clay Anthony early. I really liked him on a Wichita State team. I don't know. Atlanta's in a weird position. They're kind of like going to be stuck at the 8th seed, but we'll see. I think if Kyle Anderson's there, I think you pick him.
My mock draft actually ended at 14. So how do you guys feel if I just end it right now?
I think that's.
I think we're at the limit. I'll say that Atlanta would really like Shabazz Napier at 15. But
right.
Yeah.
So with that, this was Kill the Clock. If you made it this far, you win $100. You can email Ravneet at
whoa.
email.com.
The new hidden cash.
Wait,
right.
What do we get for just being here?
You can also win $100. You guys have Ravneet's number. He'll hook it up. Thanks, Ravneet. You're a great sport.
Thanks, Ravneet.
I'm gonna change my name.
All right, see you guys.
Bye.
Bye.
See you.